Hello, welcome back to Stockport Council Watch. My question for the councillors this week relates to digital ID and freedom of speech. And so it's no surprise that I've also aimed it not just to the Liberal council leader, but also the leader of the Labour contingent, who foisted upon us the idea of a brick card. They'd like us to think that digital ID has gone away, but I think it's important to place on record to these councillors that it most certainly hasn't. And to find out a little bit more about the part that they will have to play if we do have a closed society.
So the fourth question tonight is from Mr. Steve Hatton. This is regarding brick card and civil liberties, and this is asked to Councillor Mark Roberts and Councillor Christine Carrigan.
Thank you. Pressure from 9 local councils and 3 million petitioners have forced Labour to dilute brick card on the grounds of civil liberties, data security, financial risk and local democracy. But the real digital ID infrastructure continues unabated, with millions of unwitting conscripts to UK.gov one login. Emerging global standards for interoperable biometric identification threaten a joined-up global technocracy, which no human voted for. With one login, the Gov UK wallet can hold multiple ID documents, like biometric driving licences or brick card version 2. And the private sector could soon use it as a condition to purchase travel, goods or services. This function creep leads to personal profiling and a de facto internal passport system. New programmable central bank digital currencies enable artificial intelligence to restrict individual transactions in real time at the whim of future governments. So will Stockport become the 10th council to send a clear message to government that we demand a free, open society? Specifically, will you insist upon A, universal acceptance of cash for public transport and local services, B, safeguarding access to amenities and services for digitally excluded residents who refuse one login's digital ID tracking, and maybe most importantly, C, free speech for your own employees outside the workplace? Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, Mr Hatton. And I would just like to start by saying it does feel quite odd this time to be in partial agreement with you as the questioner. Liberal Democrats have long been against the implementation of mandatory digital IDs or ID cards under the new Labour government, and it was good to see the Prime Minister begin to row back on the proposals that are a threat to civil liberties and in tough financial times, quite frankly, Madam Mayor, a waste of money. But on your more specific issues of the availability of cash, we do have differing views on the benefits of the technology, it seems, but I do value the importance of not leaving some behind, and this is why we try our hardest to ensure that council services are available to be paid in cash. And in the same vein, it's clearly important to allow avenues of availability to remain open to those who don't have access to digital services. But on your final question, I'm unsure if you're referring to a specific instance that I'm unaware of, but I think we can all agree that freedom of speech is vital. But there is an important caveat to note, however, that this does not also mean freedom of reasonable consequences, as I think all reasonable employers would attest to. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question.
Councillor Carrigan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, Mr Hatton. Firmly on the map now. As you are well aware, national ID systems and digital payments monetary policy are not set by Stockport Council. However, I will address your points directly. On cash, we support practical access to services for residents who need it, but we won't pretend that digital systems are some kind of sinister plot. Digital services Using online accounts does not mean residents are tracked or forced into ID schemes, and nobody is included from council services for refusing them. We actively encourage participation. And on free speech, council employees already have free speech rights in law. This is not something the council either grants, withdraws or demands. And I think every single one of us in here is an advocate of free speech. It is indeed what we do regularly. Thank you.
So it's no surprise to me that we have much more agreement on this particular area than I do on subjects that I've covered in the past. But it should be remembered that those subjects, we have only asked for public debate on the science and justification for the council's policies. And at every count, every single councillor appears to back the idea that we should not be allowed to have that debate. So I'm not too convinced about their claims of free speech, and especially for employees, because I constantly talk to people who are fearful of speaking out on political issues or scientific issues or religious issues in public outside of their job because they fear losing their job. And this is an insidious trend that has emerged in society, and I feel inclined to just pursue it a little bit further with the council to see exactly what Mark Roberts means with his caveat at the end there, saying that there are no freedoms from certain consequences. So I have written to him about that, and I'm hoping that, you know, as a Liberal Democrat, he is on our side with this. But it does appear to me that with this global push towards digital ID, councils are being penned into a corner to support it ultimately when it comes. And I think we should be preparing these councillors for the idea that digital ID certainly hasn't gone away, and questioning free speech, because even if councils wouldn't sack people for their opinions, even if there aren't policies to stifle free speech out of work, what we are seeing is people assuming that. And that is just as dangerous, because it passes on to our children the idea that if you have a job, you shouldn't really be speaking about political, scientific or religious beliefs in public. So I think these are important topics, and I intend to push them further and find out more information. So thanks very much for watching. I hope to get back with more information on this, but it's always good to keep them in check. Thanks for watching.